I'm Sean from Offload, Rugby Media.
This is Simeon, also known as the TikTok ref.
Hi guys, I'm Murray, also known as Blissful Rugby HQ.
Hi guys, it's Kyle, also known as Rugby Kyle.
And welcome to Season 2
of the Rugby
Connection
podcast.
Hope you're ready for it.
For the fans.
By the fans.
Hello, welcome to episode 6 of the Rugby Connection podcast. Lads, how are we getting on?
Yeah, no good, Murray, how are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. Bit sore from the game. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We have got our guest this week. It is Simeon's birthday, so he will not be joining us, but we're joined by the man that helped us out last week. Kyle, thanks for coming back. How are you getting on?
You can't get enough of me, lads. I'm doing good. I think at this stage, Simeon's going to be fired soon. Happy birthday, though, Simeon.
Yeah, happy birthday, Simeon.
Yeah. What was it I call him? The Peroxide Nigel Owens. There you go. Happy birthday, Peroxide Nigel.
Oh, classic.
Any personal rugby from you boys this weekend?
I had a match earlier today, actually. I'm not going to talk about the scoreline. I played 13, first time in, I'd say, 4 years, playing in the centre, so that was interesting. Obviously, I told you last week I was injured, so I was only allowed to play one half today. So I played the second half. Pretty good. I was happy with how I played, but not happy with how the team played. So it wasn't the best result, and definitely not what we were expecting. I heard you was a game, Murray, had you?
Say that again, Kyle?
Who were we against?
Yeah.
Monterey.
Oh, alright.
Do you know them?
Derby. Yeah, Galway Derby there.
Yeah. We should have won it. You had a match, Murray, had you?
Me, yeah. I came back. I've been out three and a half weeks with an ankle injury, so got my big return. Came off the bench, which was fine. I expected. I haven't been training, so I didn't earn a start. Played the full second half. Played at number 8 for a change. That was nice. That's my comfort zone. If they're wanting me to forward, keep me at number 8 because I loved every minute of that. Big win, 61-15 against Arbroath. That's 5 on the bounce for the Crusaders, and we're now second in the league. So yeah, just can't wait to get back into training, and I'm sore today. I'm proud of myself. I bounced a few bigger lads, but yeah, I'm feeling it today.
I'm the same now this evening as well. I've a big knee and a bust finger, but I can't show you that because that wouldn't be nice for the viewers on YouTube, I think.
Oh, go on.
No. It's a bit rude.
All right, fair enough.
Do you any rugby, Sean?
No, this weekend we went to have a match. We were meant to have a match against Tuam at home, but Tuam pulled out because they didn't have enough numbers. So that was very disappointing. And then I stayed in Dublin because I was at the Connacht match yesterday, so I didn't get back we had a training session, so I didn't get back for that, unfortunately. But no, we're meant to have a next game in 2 weeks, so I feel like ages since we played a match, so I'm dying for one.
It's worth the wait, Sean. Trust me, it's all worth the wait. We have got a lot of rugby to talk about this week. We've got round 6 of the Premiership. We've got round 5 of the URC. Sean's here, so we've got some top 14 for you, and we've got some international rugby. And yeah, and the fan question at the end. Let's just go for it. Starting off with the Prem. Friday night lights at Franklin's Gardens. Northampton Saints versus Worcester Warriors. Absolute thumping. 66-10 to the Saints. Just ouch. Cornell Scotson, former, I think he was a Springbok 7. I think he was a Sevens player. This was his debut, and what a debut. Hat-trick. Got a hat-trick on debut. Just unreal. Simple stuff. Dan Biggar, Alex Mitchell, and Rory Hutchinson also amongst the try scorers. I know Worcester have Willie Hines, Ollie Lawrence, Ted Hill all out with injury at the moment, but oh my God, like once you scratch the surface, they've not got much depth, and you can see it in this game. Duhan van der Merwe was the only shining light in the back line. He tried everything he could, but it's not a one-man team, and that was quickly found out. Rory Sutherland and Matt Kvesic are the only two standouts in the forward pack, but worrying times for Worcester. What are your thoughts, lads?
I didn't get to see much of the game. I thought it was really nice. Obviously, it's kind of trending on social media. Dan Biggar kind of with Finn Smith, the Worcester out half after the game. it looked like he had a good chat with him. I thought that was nice. Alex Mitchell, man of the match, he got 2 tries, and it's a matter of time before he gets that 9 jersey for England, I think. But obviously, there's a good bit of competition there, so he's going to have to work hard. But he's been good now for last season and this season. I think on a side note that the Premiership does need relegation, because there is people saying that it's better without relegation, but teams losing by 50 points every week isn't good, and I think relegation probably stops that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we get relegation next year, so because they want the 14 teams like the top 14, so get a team up this year from the Championship, and then I'll be back to normal. But yeah, I get what you're saying. The fact that there's a safety gap and like there's no punishment for getting beat, it's like teams are just slacking. And I mean, we'll discuss it in a little bit. There's another thumping in the Prem today. It just fires up your point even more, Kyle. So yeah, Sean, what's your thoughts? Because I mentioned a little Sevens player there as well for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a debut for the hat-trick man. I mean, that's a pretty good debut to have. But I mean, when you see that score on Friday, you would have felt that would have been one of the only or one of the biggest win of the weekend. But as we'll get on to later, unfortunately, it wasn't. But yeah, no, that's really hard to say. Northampton does seem pretty good, obviously. Like, as Kyle said, relegation needs to happen. If they had their way, they wouldn't have any relegation, and that's very sad.
Yeah, that's fair. Big shock on coming on to Saturday though. London Irish against the Chiefs. It was at Sandy Park. London Irish got their first win of the season, and more importantly, their first win since March. And they did it at Sandy Park against the Chiefs. And this was no slouch of an Exeter Chiefs team. This had Stuart Hogg, Jack Noel, Henry Slade, both Simmons, almost a full goal Exeter Chiefs squad. And London Irish came and put the work on them. Stuart Hogg, Jack Noel, and Will Whitty were on the scoreboard for Exeter Chiefs, but Augustine Karevi, that man is on fire at the moment. That's his 5th try this season. Curtis Rona, Jans van Rensburg, Ben Lauder, and Ollie Hassel-Collins all scoring for London Irish. But the main talking point, captain of London Irish, friend of Rugby Connection podcast, Matt Rogerson, man of the match, 23 tackles. It was brilliant to see. It was so class. So well done, Matt. Well done to the Irish lads. And you know what? Don't think you get bigger Chiefs fans than me. I'll admit, Chiefs played poor. It wasn't even that they played like bad. They played really slow. Didn't really have an idea going forward. And London Irish played quicker tempo and hurt them for it, and well deserved. Kyle, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, big shock there. Obviously, London Irish have been winless now for 11 games, I think it is, since March that you said. So that's a big one for them, and they really needed that boost. As you said, Karevi, he's been on fire, getting in all those tries, and what a player he is. Great to see Matt Rogerson doing well, and I'm surprised you've that London Irish jersey up behind you, but you have to support the friend.
That's it. Support the friends. If the Chiefs won, the Chiefs would be up there, but no, we'll stick to all green, but we'll talk about this other green later on in the show. But yeah, had to back a friend of the show. It's been a good week actually for Rugby Connection podcast guests, but we'll get into that in more detail later on. We move on. We've got Gloucester versus Newcastle. Now, to me, this was actually the first game I noticed the new leggings rule with the 4G pitches, and of course it was going to be Johnny May that would rock up in the leggings because he seems like that kind of boy. Got a try with it, but yeah, 29-20 win for the Cherries and Whites. They did get 2 tries, but it was Lloyd Evans' boot that really sealed that win. And I don't want to see Newcastle struggling because it's a tight defeat, but they beat Bristol last week. I thought Newcastle were going to build on some momentum, but Ben Stevenson getting a try. It was a nice under the sticks try, but just to no avail. What's your lads' thoughts?
I didn't get to catch the game actually, but I did notice that Johnny May had the leggings on, and of course it's going to be a winger. But I do think, on a side note about the leggings rule, that if you need to kind of wear, I'm not going to call them protective gear, but if you need to wear leggings, I think But if you have to be wearing that, I think, to play on a pitch, then maybe the pitch isn't suitable for the sport. I think maybe the Premiership Rugby and World Rugby should have looked at that, because obviously some of the burns were really nasty. I saw one of the London Irish players posting last week of someone that got a really bad burn. And I don't think they're suitable, really, because not all players want to wear them, and obviously it's harder to tackle people. So maybe they need to look at that in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny May's quick. Normally, we all know how quick Johnny May is. I know I'd bash him a lot, but I'll give him do it. Like he is a quick boy, and the fact he's got leggings on, surely that's like streamlining. Like you said, Kyle, like it's harder to tackle somebody because of the material, and I don't know. It's going to be a long talking point, I feel. Sean, what's your thoughts on leggings and protective wear, as we'll quote it?
Well, I think it was good that they brought in that rule, because, as Kyle said, the pitches are very harsh, and like anyone who's ever played on a 3G, 4G, or Astro pitch, like the burns are pretty bad when you get them. And like there was one day I got them there. It was about 4 weeks ago. Like we were just playing like touch rugby, and obviously cheeky me put in a few grubbers, and I was diving on the ball, and like I got really bad burns on my knees for like, and it was 2 days I was walking around in pain. But I mean, one thing I will say about the leggings is, obviously we'll get onto the Saracens match from today, but obviously Max Malin scored 4 tries, but players who wore leggings at the weekend have 100% try rate. So there you go. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not a coincidence, you know.
Yeah, like you've just said there, Sean. 2 players, 5 tries. Pairs of both wearing leggings. Yes. Who knows? But anyway, we'll talk about the Sarries game very shortly. Quins were at home to Bath. Personally, I thought this was Bath's best game of the season so far. Still defeated, still a lot to question. 31-17 to Quins. Andre Esterhuizen, Marcus Smith and Joe Marchand getting 2 tries, sealing the win for the Quins. But yeah, I thought Sam Underhill, Will Stewart getting tries for Bath. Bath were actually winning at half time, so it tells you that they improved massively compared to last week. It wasn't hard after that absolute thumping that Saracens put on them. But yeah, I still think Bath need a new coaching backroom staff. But there was a slight improvement. But yeah, what do you guys think on that one?
What I saw was the Don Brandt assist to Marchand. Did you guys see that? That was insane. Yeah, that was brilliant. But I think it's not looking good for Bath, because, as you said, it's probably their best game of the season. And if that's their best game of the season, losing by 14 points, that's not really good, because they have the facilities, as we spoke last week. They have the players, so they've no excuses, really. But Marcus Smith, again, was brilliant. Good to see him playing so well. But I thought Harlequins might put a bit more points on Bath, but I'm glad they didn't, because it's not nice to see huge scorelines, really.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't, especially with the Premiership, like they are all very capable teams. It is a very high caliber league. So if you can put 50, 60 points on a team like Bath, fair play to you. But no, Bath dug them deep, and like you said, if that's their best game, getting beat by 14, it's not looking great. Sean, what's your thoughts on the whole mess at Bath?
Well, looking through, I've had a quick glance at the Bath team, and it still was a pretty strong team that they've been playing. And having being trashed by Saracens last week, at least it's an improvement. At least that's a positive anyway. But as I said, they were nowhere, obviously, except for the halftime lead. They probably weren't going to win this game in any sort of shape. So, look, it's an improvement, but yeah, Bath are in bad shapes.
Yeah. Well. Hopefully they move on and finally get a win maybe next week. But again, we move on. We've got the undefeated streak still going. Leicester Tigers versus Sharks, 19 points to 11 for the Tigers. That's 6 from 6 for them. Unreal. It's just great to see Leicester Tigers proper going for it again. George Ford's boot. Yeah, just proper. I say it like it's like Leicester of old. I don't think I could say Leicester of old now. Like, they're undefeated, 6 from 6. This is the new Leicester. This is what we've been wanting, and it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that. Well, obviously, again, we'll touch on this later, but George Ford not in the England squad, and yet he's basically steering the ship of the team who are top of the Premiership table. Like, so, I mean, fair play Leicester. Hope to continue it. Like, and then the way Harlequins last year weren't in good shape coming into Christmas, and then they turned it around second half of the season. You wouldn't like to see Leicester, coming into Christmas up at the top of the table and then find themselves not even making the playoffs in the season. But fair play to them so far.
I think Leicester are probably going to win it, to be honest. I think I'd love to see a Leicester Harlequins final, but Leicester so far are looking really strong. I know Murray's shaking his head there, but on a side note as well, George Ford not included in the England squad. He's been playing so well. Police fan Andre revealed during the week George Ford is on his radar for Montpellier. So whether we see that or not, I don't know, but it's interesting.
Oh, I quite like that move, maybe. I'm not against it. I think the George Ford thing, it was always going to be tough because, let's be honest, it was never going to be Owen Farrell that was going to get dropped.
No.
It doesn't matter what Mike Brown or Matt Dawson or Austin Healy or any other pundit or us fans think of Owen Farrell. He is Eddie Jones's captain. He's the first name on that sheet because of captaincy. Yeah, just strange, very strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does suck for George Ford because, like we said, he's steering the ship for Leicester Tigers, but somebody's got to go. That's the way the world works. Last game of round 6 of the Premiership, Saracens versus Wasps. Big juicy game on paper. Definitely did not live up to that. Max Malin's got a bonus point himself. 4 tries, but like we discussed, might have been the leggings, so who knows. But Billy Vunipola, Jamie George, Alex Zozowski, and Ben Earl also on the scoreboard for Saracens. Jamie Gopper, sorry, and Zach Kibarigi getting the tries for the Wasps, but no avail. Absolute dominance by Saracens at the StoneX Arena. Kyle, what were your initial thoughts?
It definitely didn't help us that they had to make probably 3 changes before half time, one of which was their tight head prop, I think, who was just gassed. He was just gassed. He couldn't handle it.
I think that was
Saracens were just brilliant, and they showed that last week as well, that they can beat probably good teams. They can beat them well too, but Jamie George, I think it was him that finished off that try from the 22. Where they ran it. That was a nice try. But apart from that game put me to sleep. I turned it off for a while, I put it back on, and I couldn't stay awake during it, to be honest. I thought it was just so one-sided. Jimmy Gopperth obviously had to play at 12, like you said, but I thought he was pretty good for Wasps, to be honest.
Yeah, Jimmy Gopperth's always very reliable. Is he not he's not 40 years old now, I think, Jimmy Gopperth.
39.
Yeah, close enough. But even still, very reliable coming off the boot as well, Jimmy Gopperth. But when you've got a team like Saracens just going full go and you've got Max Malins running about in leggings on the wing, it seems very unfair. But like you've said, Kyle, because there's no relegation or threat of relegation, yeah, let's just put 50 on this team, and why not?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the table and you see at the bottom some pretty big clubs, obviously Bath, Bristol, Worcester, Wasps are there. Like in a normal season, would you really see that if there was no relegation? Would you see a couple of those big clubs really down at the bottom? So, I mean, I don't know. Does that say something about the whole no relegation this year or not? I don't know. Or just performance in general. But
I think it's like a safety barrier.
Yeah.
I get why there's no relegation this year is because they want it to be a 14-team league, which is fine. But why not just promote Saracens and Ealing last year?
They could have just promoted 2. I think the reason they didn't promote Ealing was because of their stadium, wasn't it? That it couldn't seat enough. That's the reason why it didn't happen.
Yeah, but it looks bigger than bloody Newcastle's one. But anyway, I'm not getting into it. It does. It might. I don't think it is bigger, but Ealing Trailfinders ground does look a lot bigger than where Newcastle Falcons play. But yeah, I agree with you, Kyle. Why not? If you knew you wanted a 14 team league, Why not just put 2 teams up? And then, cool, now we've got 14, we've got relegation. And then you've got like Worcester and all that, maybe even playing slightly better. Bath probably would not be near the bottom, like Sean mentioned. I don't know, I just feel like a lot of teams are just like, yeah, cool. Like, it's not like we're going to get punished for it.
Yeah, except for the fact that Stuart Hooper will probably lose the job at the end of the season. But other than that, there's not really that much financial repercussions for them if they get, like, because they can't get relegated. Like, I mean, they're still going to have the season ticket holders who've already bought their tickets. I mean, other than that, like there's not going to be too much penalty for finishing last this season.
No, exactly. I mean, what you were just saying about season ticket holders, like Bath sell out the Rec every week, and look at the style of rugby they're playing. It's rubbish. I wouldn't go and watch it now. I wouldn't pay my hard-earned money to watch Bath Rugby play at all right now. I wouldn't pay to watch Worcester Warriors now. And there's no discredit to those teams, but looking at the scorelines that they've had in the last few weeks, why would they?
Yeah, very fair.
Anyway, we move on. That was the Premiership roundup. We're now into the URC. Mixed bag, I think, for results-wise this weekend. Start off with Scarlets, Benetton, 34-28 to Scarlets. I thought Scarlets actually bottled this. This reminded me of when you were describing the Leinster Dragons game a few weeks ago, Sean. 40 seconds left on the clock. Scarlets went to kick for touch, couldn't even find touch, so there was an old Benetton's. I think there was a knock on that ended the game, but even still, Scarlets were so in control of this game, and to only win by 7 points doesn't seem great. But I mean, we've been discussing the issue at Scarlets the past few weeks because they've got thumped by Leinster and got hurt by Munster, so it is nice to see them win. We'll give them credit for that, and I will give a shout out to Rob Evans. You've seen him wear his heart on his sleeves the past few weeks for Scarlets and how much it means to him. He was on the scoreboard for this win, so that's nice to see. I like that. I rate that. What are your boys' thoughts of the game?
Scarlets really needed that win, as you said, after kind of the last few weeks. I expected Benetton to maybe win, to be honest. And what you said about kind of Scarlets kind of bottling it kind of reminded me even of the Ospreys Benetton game last week, because Benetton have had probably chances in these games, even though they're not in control, but they haven't probably executed them enough. And I think they've had chances to win some games that they're going to be kicking themselves about.
Yeah, I agree. Sean, you got any thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Benetton, like to come within 7 points of a win and then to not win. Obviously, I think do they only have is a 1 win this season so far, or something like that? Not 1 or 2, but I feel sorry for them anyway, not coming away. At least they come away with a losing bonus point and a try bonus, so that's positive.
Yeah. So onwards and upwards. We move on to Scotstoun Stadium, Glasgow versus Leinster. I thought this was going to be a very tight game, just because of recent history between the two clubs, but Leinster, being Leinster, had other thoughts. 31-15. And again, there was all the big hitters: Ronan Kelleher, Hugo Keenan, and Adam Byrne on the scoreboard. I don't want to say is the URC become predictable already, because it's not. It's been a very exciting competition. I have been enjoying it a lot more than I have when it was the Pro 14 in the latter years. But yeah, Leinster still undefeated. Glasgow didn't really show much. Jack Dempsey and Lewis Bean did get tries, but wasn't enough. What are your boys' thoughts?
Ronan Kelleher thinks he's a winger. It's good to see Leinster's 2 hookers that got into the Ireland team this week, and Dan Sheehan, he's uncapped. He got on the scoreboard as well. I think Glasgow should have done better, seeing as Leinster 2 yellow cards. Jack Conan and I can't remember who I got the other yellow card, but I think Glasgow probably should have done better. Kelleher with man of the match as well, showing why he's probably up there with the best hookers in Europe. He was insane, and I didn't get to see the full game, but Leinster showing why they're the best, I think.
John, what's your thoughts? You're always the one that bashes Leinster more and ends up supporting Leinster as well. So
I know, yeah, that's not true. I know. No, this one actually didn't get to see it. I was all focused about the green of Connacht there, like that jersey you have behind you there, Murray. But no, I didn't get to see it. But I mean, it's typical Leinster. You kind of come to expect those kind of results and performances really from them. So yeah, nothing else other than that.
I will give Glasgow their due. This was like it was obviously an official league game, but they did a charity event as well for, I think it was the Children's Hospice charity, and they have like the nice purple training shirt this year. That is a very beautiful shirt, and I think of that game alone, they raised £12,000 for the charity. So fair play. That's regardless of the result, that deserves its own little mention. I like that. It's always nice to see when the clubs give back. Sticking with the Scottish side, Zebre versus Edinburgh. It's getting like an old track record now, isn't it? Zebre winless. 5 games in, winless, just not looking great. They only got the one try from Bruno in the 16th minute as well, so they got it really well on. And then just nothing else for the rest of the game. Jack Blaine, Stuart McInally, Bowen Venter powering over, and it's the man that didn't get selected for the Scotland squad, sadly, Ben Bellicott, continuing his great form, giving Edinburgh 27-10 win on the road. It's a nice little bonus point for the boys in orange. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. That takes Edinburgh up to 4th in the URC, which makes me kind of smug because Kyle said that Edinburgh would bomb out. So,
I mean, I'll give. Sorry, don't know what was happening there. Sorry. I'll give Edinburgh some credit. I mean, they're doing pretty all right this season. Now, I know obviously a lot of their games are not like thrashings when they got them. Obviously, only 7-point win last week, but I mean, a win is a win, and you know, once you convert, doesn't matter how you convert. Edinburgh in 4th, as he said. So well done, Edinburgh. Give it to them.
Yep. Kyle, any thoughts on the game?
I've only one thing to say, and I have it down here in my notes. Very boring game, because I got home yesterday and I watched it, and Deborah went 3-0 up, and I was like, oh, maybe they could do something. I don't know why I was thinking that, but nah, pretty poor. And this is the reason I'd like to see. Might be a little bit of a tangent here, but the reason I'd like to see probably relegation in the URC maybe, because it's probably forces teams like Zebra out without any disrespect to them, or it forces them to get better.
Yeah.
And even there's been other Italian teams before and they've been poor as well. But I'd like to see a new system come in place, even if they merged kind of with the Italians with the French and then the Scottish, Welsh and Irish with the English maybe, and formed kind of a few more leagues and divisions and stuff. But that's a talk for another day.
No, I like that. I like that idea. I mean, I think me and one of my friends discussed it after my game yesterday, just about how poor Zebra were, and if you were to bring in a team, who would it be? And obviously, as a Scotsman, we're dying for another pro club. Put them in the Highlands, put them in the Borders. Yeah, that'd be nice to give us 3 teams, but where else would you realistically right now? If you were in charge of the URC and you took Zebra out, who'd you put in and why?
I'm not gonna say, okay, my theory was that they joined French in the Pro G2, but who do you bring in? It's a tough one. I'd probably do a lot more than just boot them out and bring another team in, because I think the URC should do something completely different altogether. As in, like I said, kind of join with the English maybe, and have the Premiership and the Championship, then 3rd division as well. Because let's be honest, most teams in the URC wouldn't do well in the Premiership. They'd nearly all be in the 2nd division.
Just on what you were saying there, Kyle, about a potentially British and Irish league. I know that especially among pundits, well, before the URC kind of came, there was a lot of appetite, especially among pundits in Ireland anyway, and wannabe pundits. There was a lot of appetite for a British and Irish league, and I mean, it's something that probably would do better revenue wise for a lot of those kind of clubs. So just supporters wise in general, and TV revenue, I mean, would be probably a lot greater. But and then if the URC were to have relegation, as you mentioned, Kyle, Calvisano, or an Italian team who've often featured in the Challenge Cup, I mean, they would possibly be one option. But I mean, also again, they're starting from scratch, so they'd be pretty poor coming in, just like Zebre, or NSI SDM, who Connacht played a couple of years ago. That's how I remember them. the Siberian side, but no, they played them in Siberia. They're Russian, but yeah, that's only who could come into URC if they ever did consider relegation. Really, from who I can think of.
I was about to mention them as well, actually, because I think there is some teams. I think there's a good Georgian club side. I can't think of their name off the top of my head. That even they could do well, and I think there's a good Belgian club side as well. Now I can't remember their names, but as far as I know, they're pretty decent.
Yeah, I know there's the Tbilisi Lions or something like that, or Georgian Lions or something like that.
Yeah, that's them. That's them.
Yeah. I mean, the Super League seems to be going pretty all right so far. So, yeah.
Would you not bring in another South African team in? I mean, it did become Pro 14 with the Kings and the Cheetahs, and then when the URC became a thing, they got shunted away. So would you not just bring one of them back, maybe?
Maybe the Cheetahs. I felt sorry for especially the Cheetahs. I kind of enjoyed watching them when they were in the Pro 14. Obviously, the results didn't favor them, but yeah, I would have liked to see the Cheetahs. Like, I felt really sorry with them when they just got kicked out, and then 4 new South African sides were coming in to replace them. Like, so now the Kings was kind of a whole different story. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see that. Didn't really think of that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's out of our control, sadly.
Yeah.
we go to Wales. We've got a little Welsh derby. Cardiff versus the Dragons. 31-29 Cardiff. Very tight game. It was actually the boot of Jared Evans that sealed the win. Yeah, not much more to say. Like Simeon said a few weeks ago, Dragons are on the up. I know they got beat, but 2 losing bonus points.
Yeah. Good result for them. I mean, not a good result. They didn't win, but get any sort of points is good. Like, I mean, they could have and possibly should have beaten Leinster a few weeks ago, but that didn't happen. But I mean, it's again like the way who were we talking about earlier? Whoever got the losing bonus point, anything is an improvement. Like, so, I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
I saw that red card for the shoulder to chin on Davis, and it kind of reminds me that we haven't had much red cards this season in the URC or in the Premiership or any competitions really compared to last season. And it's pretty good that kind of referees are noticing maybe players are just diffing like that to get their head hit, I thought, at sometimes. And there's a bit more common sense coming into it. But I didn't see the red card. So I saw one angle. So I'm not sure what to think of it. Pity we can't get Simeon's review on that. But Dragons are putting up good fights this season in all their games, and I think in a year or two to come, I think they'll probably be a stronger side, like I mentioned last week.
Fair enough. I mean, we've got a streak that ended this week. Ospreys versus Munster, 18-10. I say Ospreys won. It was Stephen Myler, all 18 points for the men at the Liberty Stadium. What were your initial thoughts? Craig Casey getting a try for Munster, and that was it, really.
I only watched a bit of it, and then I decided to stick on the All Blacks game, because that was last night, wasn't it? Jack Morgan, man of the match. I thought probably Stephen Myler, maybe hard done by, but he was pretty good as well. I thought Jack Crowley, he started at 10. He was pretty underwhelming, I thought, but he needs more game time. Like, he was starting 15 in the AIL last week, and then he's starting 10 for Munster in the URC. Like, I think there needs to be a bit more structure with him. And obviously Casey with the only try of the game, not a great spectacle, really.
Just from what I heard, I didn't even get to see the highlights, but from what I heard, when Murray came on, he was pretty poor. So
yeah, I heard that as well.
Yeah, so not looking good.
Just a bit of a shock to me, I think. I thought Munster was going to proper just go for it and continue their undefeated streak. Ospreys were playing really mixed rugby the past few weeks as well. I think that's why I kind of ripped them off. But you know what? That's it. That's Munster's undefeated streak done, dusted. Well done, Ospreys. And speaking of undefeated streaks ending, boys, you'll be happy with this. Connacht versus Ulster at the Aviva Stadium. What a win. 36-11 to the boys in green.
Yeah.
Unreal. Sean, you were there. On your initial thoughts?
I mean, I loved it. It was a brilliant match. I mean, I think Connacht just played. I nearly described it a little bit as champagne rugby. Now, I know they did get 2 tries from, 2 tries from intercepts, but I think they did. I think the rugby Connacht played was proper beautiful. Like you love to watch it. Like I remember I saw a tweet there today, and someone retweeted the John Porch try in the corner, and someone said, when was the last time Ireland scored a try like that? And like when you think, like I was struggling to think like when was a proper good try like that scored by Ireland, but obviously it's different levels now. But I mean, Niall Murray obviously got the first try of the game. He played pretty well. I mean, when I watched the highlights, the commentator was comparing him to Ryan Baird, and I could kind of see that. I mean, obviously he only really kicked off his Connacht senior career last year, and he's filling into the role pretty well. Conor Oliver and Paul Boyle in the back row, also 2 brilliant performances, very underrated players, and obviously Paul Boyle very unlucky, I think, anyway, to not make the Ireland squad. And then just Mac Hansen, every time he got his hands on the ball, I was just smiling. I mean, I know even when I watched the highlights, I couldn't stop smiling. I mean, 4 tries in 5 games for Mac Hansen. I mean, could we see him in the Ireland squad at some stage? Possibly. So, I mean, I loved it. Great game. Well done, Connacht.
I was saying last night that I think if Mac Hansen, a few weeks later, I think if the Ireland squad was announced maybe next month, we'll say, that Mac Hansen could be in it. I was delighted to see Kilgallen score a try because he's from the same club as me. So that was nice, his first try for Connacht. They play some brilliant rugby though. Like, I think it's amazing. It's probably the best out of the Irish provinces, I think. And the others play good rugby as well, but I thought that was some great rugby, and it was nice to see them do well because at the start of the game, I was kind of wondering how they'd do maybe, and I thought Andrew Brace was harsh enough at the start of the game, but I thought he was very good throughout the game. Then he was really consistent, and no, he wasn't taking any crap really. Like, Sean, I'd be interested. What was the atmosphere like? Because obviously it wasn't a huge crowd there, only 9,000.
Yeah, so when we kind of got into the stadium, we were kind of saying, this is it was kind of dead. We got there early enough. Well, it wasn't too early. Like, it was, I think maybe half an hour, 45 minutes before, and it was fairly quiet now, as we kind of supporters seem to come in very late. But it was good. Like, for, as I said, it was nearly 10,000. I think it was 9,800. I think was the official attendance, which I think is a good attendance for a Connacht game in the Aviva. The atmosphere was actually good, and the crowd was really loud, especially in that second half. Like, I mean, even the singing in the fields not to the right was really nice. I mean, I personally, I'd love to see Connacht play in the Aviva like more often. If they made it like a yearly thing or something, I think that would be nice. Like, I mean, I genuinely really enjoyed it, and I think everyone there, obviously the performance helped, but everyone there seemed to really enjoy it. Like, and it was mostly Connacht supporters. There were very few Ulster supporters there. Like, so Ulster supporters are obviously they obviously knew it was coming, so they knew they were going to get hockey.
Just unreal, like I've said, and it's been a good week for the Rugby Connection podcast. We mentioned Matt Rodgerson earlier. Matt Hansen, his interview isn't available yet, but he's a friend of the show as well. 2 tries, like Sean said, 4 and 5. Unreal. And he is eligible for Ireland. There's a little spoiler for you there. So, but yeah, that's your roundup for the URC. It's looking interesting. Leinster still undefeated. Munster and Ulster's undefeated streak gone. Zebra are just shit.
Oh yeah. Does that mean isn't Connacht the best team in the world now, Murray? Isn't that
yes.
correct?
Yes. So if you follow our weird logic, South Africa beat the British and Irish Lions. The Bulls beat South Africa. Benetton beat the Bulls in the Rainbow Cup final. So I made Benetton the best team in the world. Ulster beat Benetton last week, or the week before, sorry. That made them the best team in the world. And because Ulster got beat by Connacht are now the best team in the world. That's becoming a lot harder to keep tabs of.
Now it's just proven, though. Everyone knew it already, though. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll give you some of the best fans in the world. I'll give you that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it is good to be fair. Sean, I'm going to touch on what you said about Ireland, the Connacht playing in the Aviva. I think it was a bad idea in a way. Obviously, they announced it while the restrictions were still in place, but I couldn't get up to it because of rugby commitments, and I was pissed off. So that's why I think it's a bad idea. But I would like to see it probably in the future at some stage again because it is nice. And I'm going to touch on what Murray said about Niall Murray. Was it you that compared him to Ryan Baird? Or
no, it was
someone?
Sure.
Yeah, I heard something.
Yeah. But I think he's class, and Delan's in the Irish squad, and I think Murray's in way better form than Delan. Not saying Murray should be in the Irish squad yet, but I think he will be soon because I think he's been on fire the last few games and last season too.
Yeah. Just on what you were saying about the Aviva as well, Kyle, I was reading an article before I went to the match yesterday, and I think it might have been Jerry Thornley or someone like that. There apparently it was looking like it was going to be a really bad decision to play in the Aviva by numbers wise, because I think Connacht were expecting to put a bit more than that they had supporters in the Aviva. I think they were nearly thinking upwards of 20,000. Like, I think probably being optimistic, and then it was only expected that they'd have between 8 and 10,000, which they did have. Like, so. And I think this time the Connacht, I mean, it was kind of a win-win for Connacht because I believe the IRFU were covering all the costs for hiring out the Aviva and everything and all that kind of stuff. So it was basically all mostly profit for Connacht, I think. And when you consider Connacht only had just over 3,000 in sports ground a couple of weeks ago against the Dragons, so to have 9,000 there and Connacht keeping most of the ticket revenue, I think it's a good bit of business.
Yeah, that really makes sense then.
Yeah, love to see more.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Maybe get the annual event, like you said. Maybe even do like what the Welsh regions do and have like a derby day at the Aviva. I think that'd be really good. Have both games on at the same day, same stadium. There you go, sorted.
That's actually a good idea. I mean, actually, then you could have like a proper packed out Aviva then, because I mean, Leinster fans would fill up most of it anyway. Like, so, there you go.
That's what I wanted them to do. Like, they've been doing that in New Zealand as well with different games, and in Australia with the Rugby Championship they've done it. New Zealand they've done it with the Maori All Blacks and the All Blacks at one stage as well. So I'd like to see them do that.
Yeah, I was even saying to my friend who I went to the match with yesterday, he was saying to me, like, even if Connacht played Leinster game, the Aviva, you'd have like, I mean, if Connacht can bring 10,000 fans by themselves to the Aviva and Leinster bring the guts of 35, 40,000 anyway, I mean, then you'd have a pack out of Aviva. Like, so, I mean, Leinster play Munster in the Aviva, but they won't play Connacht in the Aviva. So maybe they think Connacht will beat them there. So I don't know.
They're afraid.
Yeah, best team in the world. Hey.
Officially, yeah. Sean, you're Mr. Top 14. Any update?
Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, actually, before I forget, if you wouldn't mind, I want to touch briefly on Major League Rugby. Big news came out yesterday. Nonu re-signed for San Diego Legion. He's going on 40, I think. He was playing for, was it a Mitre 10? No, it wasn't a Mitre 10 side. It was a team below that at the weekend or last 2 weeks, something like that anyway. But he re-signed for San Diego Legion anyway. It's good. He's a big name, bringing back to the league. I mean, who doesn't love watching Nonu still going strong? Then bringing it on to the top 14. We talked about, well, was it Murray you mentioned earlier, or was it you? I can't remember, but with George Ford going over to Montpellier, that potentially rumoured. But Montpellier this time, what I saw when I saw their team being named, they had Garbisi at 10 and Andre Pollard at 12 for this game, which is very exciting. They beat Racing in Paris, 32-21, a fairly convincing win. I mean, we know how good Racing are and how they've been in pretty good form this year. And that's a pretty big win for Montpellier. Garbisi 10, Pollard 12. I think I like that 10-12 combination. Other than that, it was really kind of a standard weekend in terms of results. Clermont beat Pau 42-20. Biarritz 37-9 win over Brive. I mean, that's a good win for Biarritz. Bordeaux 39-13 win over Perpignan. Stade Francais 23-18 win over Lyon. And then Toulouse 41-0 thumping of Cast. But I mean, other than that, standard enough week in the top 14.
That DuPont offload was nice though, wasn't it? Don't know, did you get to see it?
Didn't see it, no.
I noticed as well with Montpellier, Paolo Garbisi taking the kicks over Andre Pollard. That was interesting, I thought. And Reinach was class from Montpellier.
Yeah, I saw the try that he robbed it off the number 8 or something, did he?
The second one, that was good.
Yeah. It's a great try. Yeah.
You'll have to see it.
Yeah.
Also, Reinach at 9, Garbisi at 10, Pollard at 12. That's filthy.
That's insane.
Love to see it. Speaking of international caliber, international rugby's back, kind of, sort of. We had 2 games. We had Japan versus Australia. Very narrow win for the Wallabies. 32-23 win over the Brave Blossoms. Not much more to say than that. It was a good game. It was enjoyable. Good to see for like first thing on a Saturday morning over here. and then we go to the absolute decimation of the States in Washington. New Zealand versus America, 104-14. Absolutely embarrassing. Unreal.
I think they need to ask me what's the point of the game, not just because USA playing the All Blacks. Obviously, it's nice to see that, good for revenue and everything. But US didn't have their European players. So you have to ask kind of what's the point in them playing that game if they don't have the players. Nice of them to score the first try against the All Blacks, obviously. I thought the scrum half was pretty good. They showed a small bit of good things, but not a whole lot. Luke Jacobson scored the All Blacks fastest try ever. And so I think I looked at earlier actually, and I was thinking that we need teams that are like on a similar level playing each other. Like instead of the All Blacks playing Tonga as B team or the All Blacks playing USA, maybe like for an example, Argentina and Fiji playing each other. They're in a similar level, but they've only ever played 4 times. So why don't World Rugby organise these games instead of organising trashings like this that no one really wants to see? Because I was getting pretty bored watching that, and everyone loves watching the All Blacks.
Yeah,
it's a good point. It's because there's no money in it, and that's the truth.
Yeah, it is the truth. Yeah,
you can get rugby loyalists like us that would love Argentina versus Fiji, but the little man down the road that says he likes rugby wouldn't pay to watch it. But if you go, New Zealand are coming to town, yeah, let's watch it. It doesn't matter. Like, even majority of the people in the stadium, I guarantee were American. Yeah, like, New Zealand are up in the 90s, and Anton Brown scored, and the crowd goes, "Way!" And I'm like, you can't be serious.
Oh, they were delighted, like. But some people are complaining about it being for money, but it is a professional sport at the end of the day. What do you expect? Professional sport is about money. Exactly. I thought it was interesting to see the American guy laughing, excited during the haka. Was he trying to do an Owen Farrell, or was he just really excited? I saw Piers Morgan tweeted about it, and a load of rugby pundits gave him stick, and apparently he's lost them all. But it was really interesting.
I've seen his face light up, and I'm sitting there like, "It's not your day, mate." Like I just thought of that. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. That's all I thought of.
I feel really sorry for the USA with this game because there was a fair bit of hype about this match. Obviously, the USA match against Ireland was cancelled, but there was a lot of hype over there. When the All Blacks come to town, there always is a lot of hype. And for them to get trashed by that much, I mean, I'm looking at Ultimate Rugby right now, and the score you can't even see the full score. It's that big. It's just like one ... You know, like you feel sorry for the USA with like a thrashing like that. And obviously, just a quick shout out to obviously the Irish contingent in the USA: Dylan Fawcett at hooker, Paul Mullen of the Aran Islands. He was a tight head prop, and obviously Kyle will know Luke Carty at 10. So there you go, a bit of an Irish connection there in the All Blacks New Zealand game, or the All Blacks USA games.
We've all mentioned a little sad note that shocked the rugby world midweek. The sad, unfortunate passing of Sean Wainui, 25 years old. Hate to see it. So thoughts are with Sean's family and friends as well. So yeah,
it's really sad, and it was nice to see that little tribute. I thought last night during at the start of the game, obviously the jersey and then the haka in tribute to him as well. It was a nice touch.
Which just makes that American guy just so much worse. Like that was a tribute haka. That wasn't a war cry haka. That was a. Yeah,
I never thought of that actually.
And he's giggling like a hyena. Like, no wonder they humped you.
Yeah, I didn't. I never thought of that now until you mentioned it there. I think actually, I know we've gone past it, but Australia and Japan. Japan played some lovely rugby, and Australia probably didn't show as much as they have the last few weeks. I think if you take Krevi out of that back line, they're a whole different team at the moment. He's possibly the best 12 in the world, or up there anyway. So it's going to show maybe if he's not there for some more games, kind of what they're really like without him.
Yeah, I think Australia are back to where they should be, and it's great to see. I mean, it's the first time since 2015 they've won 5 on the bounce. So mean, it's all going to come crashing down when they meet Scotland, but hey ho, that's fine.
They'll be in that next World Cup final. Mark my words, they will be in the next World Cup final.
Oh,
But fairly. Sorry, I'm getting angry about 6 years ago. It's fine, doesn't matter.
Just on Japan, I think Japan would be happy with that result. Like to come within 9 points of a pretty informed Australia side. I mean, it's a good result for Japan. I think. I mean, I don't think they even. Well, they probably obviously hope to win and definitely have it in them to win, but good result I think for them.
Yeah, I think this game with Australia just fired a big point across that we made. I think it was the end of season 1, and a lot of pundits were calling for it as well. Get Japan in the Rugby Championship.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
But we've got a little home nations international rugby to discuss. Not any games as of yet. That starts next week for Scotland and Tonga, because Sean's across. Simeon, myself, Simeon, Sean, and Harvey Allen that has helped us out a few times on the show as well. We'll be at the game. Kyle can't make it because he's just said no, basically.
I'm refusing to go because I think I'd be wasting my time going to a match with that quality.
Oh my god!
I feel sorry for Sean flying all the way over just for that, like
burning my money.
Yeah, I hope they're paying you good money for that.
Media passes.
Have you brought the bleach for your eyes?
He's not coming back on.
What?
He's not coming back.
They're going to be kidnapped.
Just a little thought for you lads. What are your initial thoughts on the home nations squads for the test? So we'll start off with Wales. Personally, I think Wales is very, very safe. There's not any big surprises. I mean, calling up Christ Azunza of Exeter Chiefs is a nice one, but he can't play till November because of the international window, so he can't play against New Zealand, which is going to be interesting next week. Wales playing New Zealand with just Welsh-based players. We'll see how that goes, but yeah, not much more to say on the Welsh squad. What's your thoughts on that one?
I think I'll let you go, Sean.
All right. On the Wales squad, just one thing that I noticed. I think I could be right. I could be wrong in what I'm saying here, but I think Jonah Holmes wasn't selected for Wales. So, and apparently a lot of people were calling for him to be selected. He was in good form in fairness for the Dragons. So, and that's just one thing that was caused a bit of controversy. Well, a little bit of controversy in Wales. Yeah,
no, that's fair. I thought Jonah Holmes deserved it, but I mean, you've got like Lewis Sama and Steph Evans and all that. It's tricky.
It's understandable, yeah.
Kyle, you got any thoughts on the Welsh squad at all? Or
I think it's pointless that they're playing the All Blacks and they don't have their Premiership players. Like, I know it's not that many, but I still think it's possibly pointless. But it'll be interesting to see who starts the 10. Anscombe, I hope to see him playing 10 because that'll be really interesting.
I'm going for Priestland to start at 10.
The two of them are class players, to be fair, and it'll be nice that we see them both. I thought Jonah Holmes' omission was pretty harsh. Obviously, there's some great wingers in there. Johnny McNichol's been in good form lately as well. But I'd like to have seen Holmes in there, to be honest with you. And I had something else as well. Oh, wasn't there a young lad picked that he's been playing semi-professional rugby?
Oh, didn't hear that.
Or was that something else? I heard something during the week anyways, but I didn't look into it, so I'm not sure.
Fair enough. We'll leave that one guessing. Leave that for the fans to fill in the void.
Put it in the comments.
But yeah, we move on to England. I don't think it was a big shock, personally, the fact that the Vunipolas and Jimmy George. We discussed a little bit on George Ford earlier. George Ford's positioning is just someone had to go, and unfortunately it was George Ford. But the Vunipolas haven't really done anything. I've said it for years. I think they've been very overrated and have just been name value for a long time. Jamie George, I think Jamie George is going to get drafted back in because Luke Cowan-Dickey's hurt and can't play the autumn. So I think he'll come back in. But you know what? Chiefs fan, I'm happy. Sam Simmons, it's about bloody time. That's all I could say on that. But, and it's the most Eddie Jones thing ever. They've been clambering for getting Sam Simmons, and Lewis Liner and X, Y, and Z in the squad. Sam Simmons tick, Lewis Liner out. And I'm like, what's the point? Like, I don't get this. What's so hard about just picking players that are on form?
Yeah.
And again, I get it's a hard position because like you've got like Max Mayland, Adam Radwan, Johnny May. I wouldn't have picked Johnny May, but that's just a personal thing. I would have had Lewis Liner in there over Johnny May. But I get why Johnny May's there because he does his one-dimensional job very well.
Yeah, I think there's some lucky players. I think Jamie George was hard done by, and I'm kind of glad to see him back in now because I think he's a top quality player. I can understand the Vunipolas not being in it, and I'm probably glad they're not. Ben Youngs is a puzzling one for me because he's struggling to play for Leicester at times, where they could have probably had someone else in there. I think apart from that, there isn't too much. Louis Lina, really hard done by.
Yeah.
He's been really good. But apart from that, I think it's a pretty good squad. But there'll be more to talk about when he names his 23-man squad because that's what it'll come down to really. Who's in that? Because it could all be the same again really, and they're just in there training away, not getting game time.
Yeah, that's fair. But now because Lewis Liner again hasn't been capped by England and isn't even in the training squad, he can go to Italy, he can go to Australia.
He's too good for Italy.
That'd be fantastic. Oh, Varney, Garbisi, Ioane, and Liner on the wings. Oh,
that would be insane. But he should be playing with Australia or England at this stage, to be honest. And I think one of them is going to snap him up soon, but I think Australia might have the smarts to do it quick enough because I know Michael put out a tweet after the final when the summer squads were announced, and he said, "How hasn't Lewis been picked yet for any of the squads?" He was fuming.
If he's playing in England though, and because he doesn't have 60 caps, is he eligible? Because isn't it that they only allow?
If he plays for Australia, you'd have to go to Australia. But I can't see that being an issue, especially when your dad's Michael Liner. I feel like that's very easy to make that decision. If it could, but apparently Australia is very keen.
Yeah,
well, it says that they're very keen. Yet none of the Super Rugby teams have signed him, and Dave Rennie's not invited him to train, so he's not that keen. Now he is.
Yeah, well, I suppose if he was to go and pursue playing for Australia, it would be a loss for Quins anyway.
Oh, it'd be a massive loss. It'd be a massive loss for Northern Hemisphere rugby not watching him play. I'd actually, I'm with Kyle though. I'd like to see him play for Italy. You'd get more caps. Italy, once they've got you, they will proper take care of you, I think.
Yeah.
And like we said, Varney, Garbisi, Ioane, Liner, and Minozzi.
Ooh, that would make. I'd watch Italy week in, week out if they played a team like that.
There you go.
That would be really nice.
Can't really think of the centres, but sure you'd manage something somewhere.
Carlo Canna would probably be at 12.
Oh, no.
Murray hates Carlo Canna.
Don't like Carlo Canna.
I like him.
He's just not. He's just. It's not even like he's a dirty player. He just does nothing. He's a boring player. I don't like him.
It would probably be him though in the centre, or Federico Mori anyways at 12.
There we go, Federico Mori.
Yeah.
Who'd be at 13 though? Who's that guy? He's got a long name, doesn't he? Juan something, I think, is it?
They've all got long names.
No, but he's got a really long name.
Yeah. Can't remember. I don't know. Can't remember. Well,
I can't think of it now.
Anyway, it's still a very talented backline.
Yeah.
Just fill in the blanks for an outside centre. I'll get it for you. We'll go for the Iron squad. Sean, I know you're fizzing because you waited so long for the squad to be announced and you messaged me and then felt very flat.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, the obvious one was kind of Jack Carthy. Well, look, it wasn't even certain that he was going to get in the form in the squad, but he's behind Johnny Sexton. It's obvious he is the in form 10 behind Johnny Sexton. I mean, Carberry was always going to get picked. Carthy was a bit of a disappointment for me. I think someone like Paul Boyle was unlucky not to get picked. But then again, there was a couple of surprises. I mean, I didn't really expect Zebo to get picked straight away. He scored the 2 tries against the Sharks, but other than that, he didn't do really much in the other appearances that I seen him anyway. But I mean, it's understandable. I mean, he provided really good cover on the bench, wing and full back. I mean, it's nice to have Frawley and Dan Sheehan in there. I mean, probably wouldn't have thought that Frawley was going to make the squad, to be honest. But I mean, fair play to him. Balakoon, Hume, McCluskey, and the Ulster contingent. I mean, Balakoon wasn't that great yesterday, but he definitely deserved it. And he's kept his place from the summer, so fair play to him. I mean, Hume or McCluskey, I would be inclined to only pick maybe one or the other, and I would be more inclined to pick Hume. I like McCluskey's a great 12, but I don't really see him fitting into Ireland, being a starting 12 for Ireland. I mean, maybe his cover, but other than that, no. And then Harry Byrne, like, I mean, we were saying before, Kyle was saying even before we got on, I mean, he's injured currently, and he made the squad as the third 10. So, I mean, with Carty not in it, just boils my blood. I mean, that's my thoughts. Carty robbed. There we go.
Kyle, what's your initial thoughts?
I have a lot to say. I'm going to slide through. I think I'm going to touch on a few things John said. I think Paul Boyle, for me, I'd have Jack O'Donoghue in there instead of Paul Boyle. I know like Paul Boyle isn't in it, but I think O'Donoghue's probably more hard done by. Stuart McCluskey and James Hume. Neither of them were good yesterday. I don't know how they've gotten in over Tom Daly, who's on fire the last season. I'd have Hume possibly in there, but McCluskey, I don't see what's the whole hype with him the whole time, really.
I agree.
I can't see like what he does so well. It's good to see James Lowe there, but has he really improved his defence that much? It's always good to have a left footer in your team as well, but they rely too much on his boot, and maybe that's another reason Zebo's in there to play on the wing, because he's more accurate as well at the same time. I don't know will Zebo get played, but I think it's good to have him there. He hasn't done a lot, obviously, but hasn't gotten much ball on the flip side of that.
Yeah.
Jack Carty, he's robbed altogether. I can't understand how he's not in there. Again, he was brilliant yesterday. Possibly could have got man of the match, like I said earlier. Leinster third choice 10 in the squad. Like, I understand development players, but they've got two development players in there. Nathan Doak, the Ulster scrum half, who's on great form, isn't in there as a development player. And neither is Ben Healy, who's playing pretty well for Munster. Like, Harry Byrne, you could have him as a development player even. And then on Kieran Frawley, they have him in as a 12, but is he a 12 really? He's more of a 10. He's not going to get game time there for Leinster, so it's a really strange choices that I'd like to probably know more about, but I hope Casey gets game time as well as another one. I think Luke McGrath and Keelan Blade, one of them is hard done by. That's kind of my thoughts on it. Bit of a tangent, but
yeah, good points. Yeah,
I did not realise how angry Kyle was about the Ireland squad.
I haven't even said it all, and I'm not going to either. But Murray, what are your thoughts on it?
Again, I feel like it's a very safe squad. Like you discussed the issue of 10. I don't think it actually mattered who you picked up 10 because Sexton's there. And we all know that if Sexton's fit, he's not bully. But he will not let anyone else get a sniff. And it's not even through like ability. I know he is still the best 10 in Ireland, but it's not even just through ability, it's through like sheer stubbornness, I want to say. I feel like that's the wrong word, but
yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to give up his shirt, like, understandably.
It's because he listens to the show. Like, how many times have I said, just give up, call it quits? And then he goes.
I would find it so funny if he like messaged you like, "Oh, can I come on the show?"
or he's like, he's really angry. He's like, "Yeah, come on, and let's make my point here." Like,
Murray would be looking up to him then, though. I always thought you're the best 10. You always deserve that player of the year.
I'm sorry.
Murray would turn into a simp then.
Yeah,
just like Ronan O'Gara. I'm sorry. I'm fucked if William Williams agrees to come on. But I don't know. I think it's a very safe squad. Andy Farrell's go-to picks. Yeah. I think Nathan Doak's been very hard done by, particularly, especially with John Cooney being out as well. And like you boys said, Jack Carty as well. I think part of that, apart from that, is just it's all good. Like,
yeah, I think even though like there was definitely some picks that Kyle definitely wasn't happy with anyway. But I think even though as you said, Murray was a safe squad. I think it is kind of Ireland's like strongest kind of squad under Andy Farrell so far, which kind of says a lot about his selection since he's taken over the job. I mean, he has been fairly conservative, like picking players a lot from Joe Schmidt, apart from the odd one here or there. But I think it is a stronger squad, and look, hopefully pull out some couple of performances in November and then fix the squad come Six Nations at least. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's fair. Just the one more home nation to go, and it's Scotland. I'll get you boys' initial thoughts on it first.
You text me during the week, and you said, "What are your thoughts on the Scotland team?" And I said, probably ignorantly, "I don't know." That's all I said to you, and I still haven't much to say on it, to be honest. I'm going to pass it on to Sean.
I mean, I'd be fooling all our listeners if I said I was any more in the know than Kyle is. But what I will say is that from just having a quick glance of it, I saw a lot of those young names that Murray had been raving about these last few months. So I mean, that's good. I mean, that's one thing that Murray got right. So there you go. I mean, no, I didn't mean that in a bad way. But anyway, I mean, like progressive enough squad, which is good for Scotland. And I mean, big names back. So there you go. Hand up to you, Murray.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 42-man squad. I think I got 30 of them right. My second row picks were absolute sham because I didn't take into consideration who was actually injured. So like I called up Scott Cummins and Johnny Gray and Andrew Davidson that plays down in Gloucester and all that. And I even picked Richie Gray, but he's away coaching bloody Fiji for fun with Rory Beth, which is a weird one. But so no, it's a lot of younger folk. There's 12 uncapped players in that squad. And some should have realistically been capped already, like Pierre Schumann. How he wasn't capped when he was available, as soon as he was available, we were all saying, like, get him capped now. He's available, go for it. And he wasn't even called up into that initial squad. So that was a strange one. But Pierre Schumann, Marshall Sykes, Rory Darge, Jamie Dobie, Ross Thompson, Rufus McLean, Cole Forbes, Sione Tuipuotu stand out to me. I feel like they're all going to get a solid run out, especially against the Tongan side at Murrayfield on the 30th of October. A lot of big hitters coming back in as well, coming back from the Prem, like your Stuart Hogg, who's obviously going to be the captain for the actual international window. White Chocolate, the Maverick, Finn Russell comes back. Adam Hastings, he's been on fire since signing for Gloucester. I'm happy that we've kept all 8 of our British and Irish Lions in the squad. Yeah, I'm going to go out with a limb, and I think that's probably the best Scotland squad I've seen. Probably under Gregor Townsend's tenure, like all across the board. I feel like there's enough depth. I think I mentioned it to you boys in the week that there's easily, for each position, there's easily 3 or 4 names on each position now, which is fantastic to see. And there's a little bit of a surprise that I ran by Sean the other day that I wasn't expecting. So Blair Kinghorn has been playing 10 recently for Edinburgh, and Ross Thompson, who was on fire at 10 for Glasgow, played at fullback against Leinster. And like it's good that you have that squad depth and squad rotation and all that, but it's coming across that Gregor Townsend's really liking the fact that Blair Kinghorn's at 10. So I don't know what to think of that. I mean, he's 6'5". He's going to be like the tallest 10 ever. He's a big, long lad. But no, overall, I'm very happy, and I can't wait for the autumn tests.
There you go. Yeah, come on, Scotland. Actually, come on, Tonga.
No, you said it. You're too late. You can't do that.
Tonga for the World Cup. Tonga for Sam.
We have just the one fan question. It's quite fitting. It is international themed as well. It's from ch.edits. I think that's a kiss at the end. Who knows? Who do you think would be Six Nation contender this year coming? So maybe not win it, but who's it? What's that, Gail?
I'll let Sean fire away first. Let me think about it. You've kind of caught me off guard.
I don't know. I wouldn't say. I think that question doesn't mean like who's winning it. I think it's who do you think's like there or thereabouts.
Yeah. I think. Well, look. I think France will be there or thereabouts. England. I'm still not fully convinced with England yet. I think there could be someone there who finished second who it could be literally any of Scotland, Wales, or Ireland. I'm still not fully convinced on England. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, France will be there or thereabouts. That's what I'm going to say. I mean, I'd like to see Ireland do well, but it's hard because we haven't seen the autumn internationals. It's kind of hard to know where the teams are at. Like maybe after the autumn internationals, it'd probably be easier to give a bit of a prediction. But currently, I'm not sure. It's hard to say. France. I'm going to say France are going to be there and thereabouts anyway.
I had France picked to win it, but and I don't want to be like disrespectful here. It does come down to 5 countries out of the 6 that are going to be there or thereabouts, and it just depends on who wins that game where and who gets off to the better start. And it is true that to win the Six Nations, you do really need to win like all your games, because one defeat and you've lost all your momentum. You've tracked back. You're now chasing teams. That's what I love about the Six Nations. It's so tightly contested. You can't really tell. Like obviously, I'd love to say Scotland are pushing for it, but again, like Sean said, you have to decide after the autumn properly.
I find this a tricky one, to be honest. I'm stuck between England and France. I would have said France a few months ago, but now I'm gonna say England. I don't see Scotland doing amazing, but I think at the same time it'll be Ireland and Scotland. I think kind of going towards that 5th place spot maybe.
Yeah.
And I think Wales are going to be pretty good, but again, it's hard to judge it. Well, I think it's kind of, for me anyways, in my head, it's guaranteed that England and France are going to be the top 2. I think England could edge it because I think England probably have a bit more depth. So I'll have to see how they use that though. And it all comes down to Eddie Jones really and what he does this November. And then it comes down to France being France, and if France are France and they bottle everything, then they won't win. But if they can kind of not do what they've done against Australia and Scotland, then maybe they can win. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it is a tricky one. We'll probably look into that question more after the autumn. It is a great question. I do like the ones that keep us thinking. But yeah, that's all we've got time for this week. Next week, I think we've got something special planned. Am I right, Sean? We've got to do like an Instagram live or something.
Yeah, I think an Instagram live. Yeah, that should be fun.
I mean, and Rugby Connection podcast. We're all together. Well, the original ones are all together next week.
Yeah, that should be good fun as well.
Makes a nice little change, yeah. So fun. And again, we thank Kyle for saving us again for the 2nd week in a row.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Thanks a million, lads, and try your best to enjoy the game next week. I know it might be hard, but
oh, that's a good one.
I don't know.
Maybe Kyle will be right. Maybe Scotland might win by like 5 points or something, and it'd be like 9-6 or something, or like 9-4 or something like that.
Could be like New Zealand. We could put 100 on them. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe Tonga could put 100 on Scotland. Yeah, I'd like
Got you. That's not what I meant.
3-0 to Tonga. My score prediction.
Was that 3-0 Tonga?
Yeah.
Oh my. I don't know. We'll leave it. We'll leave it at that. This has been the Rugby Connection podcast, episode 6, and we will see you next time.